And one of the ways that you're cultivating this and thinking about post-pandemic is how to support the teachers. So can you tell us a little bit more, Heidi? Lindy gave us the idea, but how are you actually going to make this happen, that we come back in this post-pandemic era with more supports for the teachers?
I was attending a session, the organization is called BEAM, Black Emotional and Mental Health Organization. And they said something that is so simple that said, ask people, have you eaten today?
Yeah.
Have you hydrated today? Have you had a moment to take a break and breathe? So in one of my check-ins with the principal, it was just simply looking at their schedule for next year and saying, where in here do teachers have a break? Where in here are we being intentional about making sure that they've eaten? Not like eating on the go or while you're trying to teach kids, and I know that sounds like something that's so simple, but I think that is a great starting point for any organization, is just looking at your schedule and saying, how are we helping to take care of our teachers and giving them time to take care of themselves? Um, and another part of that is thinking about community care. I know we've been hearing a lot about self-care, but to be honest, sometimes that's difficult for us to take care of ourselves. And we need to be checking in on each other. So our teachers have coaching sessions. So if you have coaching time with teachers, making that space for a portion that we call care, where I'm just checking in on you, how are you doing as a human being, before we dive into data and what's happening in your classroom. And then one other thing that I would say is helping people to connect with, what does it feel like to feel well?
Mm.
We often spend a lot of time on, well, we know what unpleasant sensations we feel and how do we reset our nervous system. But what does wellness feel like in the skin that you are in? What does joy feel like in your body? Calm, peace, happiness. What does that feel like? So you can even not just know, and what things are you doing that cultivate those feelings so that you can kind of return to that if you are having those moments. So those are just some simple things that I think that don't take a whole lot. And last thing, I know I keep saying last thing, flexibility. Leaders,
Yes.
I often hear teachers saying, I'm scared somebody's going to come in my classroom while I'm comforting a student, or I'm having a moment to have a circle so that we can address emotions in the room. And I don't want to get a bad mark on my observation. So
Mm.
leaders, please give teachers the space that they need to help create these compassionate classrooms in these healing spaces.
Well, because when you talk about sensations, in the community resiliency model, which chapter 2 of C Learning has integrated the concepts of, the sensory piece is so important, because we've learned it's not only how you feel, but you've been talking about really the sensory system. Where does well-being land in your body? And I just recently had a conversation with Dr. Christina Bethel from Johns Hopkins, who's been one of the leading researchers about children and trauma. And she said, we have to help the children's body with well-being. And how do we help the children's body? We can, by the teachers. If the teachers can cultivate and pour water on their sensory system of well-being, it expands what they can not only do for themselves, but for their community of children and parents and other teachers, because we are all so interconnected, and that relationship piece is so very important.